Remember about 9 months ago, I said we're watching the incredible shrinking Donald Trump. He's now about 2 foot tall. Have you seen him stumble out of Marine One across the lawn of the White House or Air Force One? The man is gassed. I'm not empathetic. I don't feel sorry for him, but he's out of gas. Emotionally, mentally, intellectually, morally, he is cooked. And you know who knows it? Not just the Democrats, not just the independents in polling. Independents gave him a 26% favorable rating. Independents. MAGA can't win. And maybe there's not going to be a MAGA. MAGA is, I never thought I'd say this. Remember when I said to you at one point, I wonder what it'll look like. I wonder when we'll know when Donald Trump's goose is cooked, when he's lame duck. Can you tell I'm hungry for Thanksgiving? When MAGA implodes and starts cannibalizing each other and starts eating their young. When will we know? It's now. It's now. Look what's happening in Congress. Look at the people that are quitting. And Marjorie Taylor Greene's not the only one. There'll be people right behind her. Say goodbye to your majority in Congress, everybody. That might happen before the midterms at the rate it's going. And then you've got the lawsuits being brought by people like Eric Swalwell, Representative Swalwell, to fire back at the administration. You're coming for me, I'm coming for you. I cover it all on the Intersection podcast, and here's a clip. Well, if I wasn't already revved up to defend our constitutional republic, our way of life, our rule of law, our democracy, before I started watching The American Revolution by Ken Burns on PBS. Yes, PBS still exists. I'm fired up now. And the more I watch it, the more I'm convinced that we are in our rebellion. We are in our revolutionary period. And because what is Donald Trump as his grip on power slips but a failing King George? And what are we but patriots fighting for our way of life and to fight for our Constitution and to make sure that we have a government that is aligned with our values and our Constitution. That's why we're here together at the Intersection. That's why we're here together on Midas Touch. That's why you're helping me build brick by brick the Legal AF community and Legal AF YouTube channel. So many amazing developments I'm going to talk to you about that are going to be happening in 2026 for Legal AF and its community. But it starts with you. And I'm so glad you're here. I'm Michael Popok, and we're at the Intersection. I'm going to orient us. I'm going to curate for us around 4 developments. One, of course, my view, my analysis of what we just watched with Judge Curry making her ruling about the illegality of Lindsay Halligan as a prosecutor. What it means for the future of the James Comey prosecution. Is that going to close the door on the James Comey prosecution? It should. What's it mean for the Letitia James prosecution for mortgage fraud? When and who will pick the next U.S. attorney? What will Donald Trump do about it? What's going to happen on appeal, the inevitable appeal, and so on? And that's a good way to kick off this episode of The Intersection as I'm revved up by thoughts of the American Revolution, by thoughts of our framers and founders, of thoughts of the Federalist Papers, of thoughts of probably, as Ken Burns put it, the most influential and consequential pamphlet of our time, Common Sense. That's what I rely on for my commentating. That's what I rely on for my audience. And I'm so glad that you're here. I think I'm on episode 5 of the American Revolution. That's what they're fighting for. They're fighting for freedom. They're fighting for due process. They're fighting for the Constitution. They're fighting to defend the Constitution. Not any man. We're not a country of men or women. We're a country of laws. And when Donald Trump says that he's going to court-martial Mark Kelly, the senator who served as a captain of the Navy and was an astronaut, married to Gabby Giffords, because he and 5 other elected officials looked the American people in the eye and said, and particularly those in the military and the military brass, don't give up the ship. You have an obligation. You have a duty. You have a commitment, an oath that's been taken to uphold the Constitution and not to abide by or comply with any illegal order, unconstitutional order of the commander-in-chief, of the president. You swore to uphold the Constitution against all enemies, domestic and foreign, not uphold the president or a president. And after that video went out, Donald Trump decided to have his FBI open up a criminal investigation against them. They didn't misstate the law. They didn't misstate the law of military justice. They didn't misstate the Nuremberg principle that you can't just say I was following orders. They didn't violate the constitutional principles. They properly stated them. They felt they had to do it, obviously, because there aren't enough resistance within the military to protect our democracy. And they were sounding the clarion call, the bat signal, if you will, to make sure that as Donald Trump gets even crazier, more unhinged, more depraved, his grip on power slips, he goes into his own personal bunker, the bunker of his mind, and we're at risk that the military stands under civilian control and stands between us and Armageddon, stands between us and a rogue, lawless president. Let me move to Eric Swalwell, friend of the show, friend of the podcast, friend of Midas Touch. And he's had it. And I appreciate it. And now on the heels of Letitia James and James Comey's indictments being dismissed, we know how the Letitia James case came to be. It's a conspiracy between Bill Pulte, the head of Freddie Mae and Fannie Mac, Pam Bondi, Ed Martin in the Department of Justice, head of the Weaponization Committee, apparently, and effectively Donald Trump, all conspiring against these people. Pulte goes and slaps together a cut and paste of some mortgage documents, which should be really private and not public. There's no fraud investigation going on at Freddie Mae and Fannie Mac against Adam Schiff or Lisa Cook on the Federal Reserve or Letitia James. But he suggests that there is, right? He puts shade on them. Then he puts up selective parts of signature blocks, signature lines, but leaves out the rest of the document, leaves out documents that conflict with his argument that mortgage fraud was committed because there's too many primary residents, or she wasn't supposed to rent out the house, or he lives in California. Why does he have a house in Maryland? All sorts of stupid shit. That's not a crime. And Eric Swalwell got caught up in all of that. He decided to sue. And I think it's a great move. Just like Michael Wolff is suing Melania Trump in New York for a declaration that what he has said and what he has done and what he's reported is not defamation against her after he got a demand letter for $1 billion. Swalwell cut off Bill Pulte at the pass and filed a suit, including for defamation and for improper, violation of other laws related to his private mortgage documents. And I think and to stop the investigation from going on. I like that approach. I like to get Eric Swalwell on the show here on The Intersection. We can talk more about it. But that's what you got to do to a bully. You got to go up to a bully, punch him in the face, and take his lunch money. And that's what the Democrats are starting to do. Has anybody noticed the incredible shrinking president that I've been talking about for the last 9 months? He's now about 3 foot tall. And he goes to Betty. He goes to Betty Bye with his baba very early. They call lid on their day like really early. When Joe Biden used to do that, Joe Biden, he's octogenarian, can't keep up. Is anybody home? What about Trump? Anybody see him kind of fall out of Marine One and kind of trudge along 4 o'clock in the afternoon, trudge along the White House lawn? Ugh. God, you would have thought he was chopping wood all day or working in a coal mine instead of playing golf at Mar-a-Lago. Pulls his hat down. Yeah, he looks gassed. He looks fatigued. It's tiresome to lose your grip on power. The narrative has changed. The sand has shifted under his feet. People hate his economy. People hate his immigration policy. People hate the way he trolls the poor. They hate a heartless president. They hate him. And he has not come to grips with it yet. And he thinks he has all these kind of superpowers, but MAGA is about to implode. It's not just Marjorie Taylor Greene. There's going to be half a dozen Congresspeople who are going to be heading for the exit. And those seats can be a potential bonanza for Democrats. And hear that flipping sound? That's the sound of seats being flipped. We got special elections, 2 or 3 of them coming up in the next 3 or 4 months. Democrat, Democrat, Democrat. Some of these places are like deep in the red, like Marjorie Taylor Greene, but you never know what's going to happen in special elections. You don't know who's going to show up. It's not your typical voter. It's somebody that's motivated. It's somebody that's angry. It's somebody that wants to pay back Donald Trump. Who does that sound like? Independents and Democrats. That's who show up in special elections and want to be heard. 3 more coming. Those go Democrat or anywhere, or the majority of them, and that lead in the Senate drops to 2 or 3 for MAGA. We haven't even gotten to the midterms yet. Gets down below 3, and MAGA Mike Johnson, who's likely to lose his gavel, he's going to have to continue to caucus with Hakeem Jeffries and get the Democrats to vote with him because he won't have enough votes. And Republicans are now coming forward. There was a new report that came out, and Republicans are saying morale is terrible. They're tired of being whipped by Trump and the White House, that they are smug, the White House, that they look down and patronize the elected officials in the House, and they blame Mike Johnson for having them get beat up regularly by Donald Trump, and they're rebelling. That's a good thing. This is the implosion that we've been waiting for. This is the rejection of Donald Trump, not only in the polls. All you got to do is be a political candidate and say 26% of independents support Donald Trump. 26%. I got to find a way to triangulate. I got to find a way to get away from Donald Trump when I'm running for election. You know, Donald Trump's, I endorse them and they're going to win. Forget it. We want Donald Trump to endorse right now. It's a negative. He has negative brand equity. He has negative goodwill. Welcome back. I co-founded the Legal AF podcast 5 years ago. I founded the Legal AF YouTube channel a year ago. I created The Intersection with you and our audience 6 months ago. And these are all the ways we stay together. We talk truth to each other. We gird ourselves and arm ourselves for the battle ahead at the midterms and beyond. I'm glad you're here with me. Many ways to support The Intersection. Tuesday nights, 8 p.m. on Midas Touch Network, Eastern Time. Come over to The Intersection on the audio version on Apple and Spotify. Leave 5-star reviews and comments. That helps. That gets us up in the rankings. That moves us up in the rankings. And then on top of that, come over to Legal AF YouTube channel. Help us crash through 1 million subscribers. We're going to do it in the next 2 weeks with your help. So until my next report, my next podcast, my next Legal AF anything, I'm Michael Popok. Can't get your fill of Legal AF? Me neither. That's why we formed the Legal AF Substack. Every time we mention something in a hot take, whether it's a court filing or a oral argument, come over to the Substack. You'll find the court filing and the oral argument there, including a daily roundup that I do called, wait for it, Morning AF. What else? All the other contributors from Legal AF are there as well. We got some new reporting. We got interviews. We got ad-free versions of the podcast and hot takes. Where? Legal AF on Substack. Come over now to free subscribe.